Okay, so our nursing theorist is Martha Rogers, and she's a grand nursing theorist, and she created the science of unitary human beings. So we'll start with the biography. She was born on March 12th, 1914 in Dallas, Texas. She also shares a birthday with Florence Nightingale, and she died in 1994. She worked as a public health nurse. She was a professor and the head of the Division of Nursing at New York University School of Nursing for 21 years. And she was a fellow for the American Academy of Nursing. The American Academy of Nursing serves the public and the nursing profession by improving health policy and practice. And fellows are nursing's most accomplished leaders, and they're recognized for their extraordinary nursing careers, and they're among the most educated citizens. She, in 1979, was a professor at Emeritus University, where she continued to work on her theory of the science of unitary human beings until she died in 1994. She was a teacher and mentor to several nursing theorists, and this included Newman and Parse. Her theory, unitary man, was first described in 1961, and before Rogers, clients were simply viewed as receivers of care rather than the person as a whole. So nurses they focused on specific tasks such as addressing change or medication administration rather than viewing the client as a whole. And she encouraged nurses to consider patients as a unity when providing care. So her education, she has a nursing diploma from Knoxville General Hospital School of Nursing, a bachelor's degree from George Peabody College, a master's degree in public health nursing from Columbia University, and a doctorate of science from Johns Hopkins University. And before all of this, she was enrolled in a pre-med program at the University of Tennessee for 2 years before she switched to nursing, and that's why our group is called the Med School Dropouts. And at that time, medicine was viewed as a male career. Her achievements, so her publications include Theoretical Basis of Nursing, which is her most famous work, Nursing Science and Art, a Perspective, Nursing Science of Unitary Irreducible Human Beings Update, and Vision of Space-Based Nursing. She founded the Society of Rogerian Scholars, and the society fosters the development of her theory and allows for communication about current work or new ideas within the framework. And it promotes the use of her theory for theory development, research, education, and practice. So influences on theory development. So her theory is deductively developed, so this means it began as an abstract theory from theories of many different sciences, and these are the three works that her theories derive from. Von Bertalanffy's theory on general systems was an important influence on her theory development. The concepts of entropy, which is a measure of disorder, and negentropy, which is the opposite. He suggested that open systems are in constant interaction with the environment. Rappaport's work offered a background on open systems, and Herrick's work offered the premise of evolution of human nature. Also, several concepts were used to develop her theory. Time is unidirectional, living systems have pattern and organization, and man is sentient, which means man is capable of feeling, they can perceive or experience subjectively, and they are also capable of choosing. So she combined these works and concepts as well as her own personal study to develop the theory of unitary man. And she continuously refined and expanded on her theory, and eventually retitled her theory The Science of Unitary and Irreducible Human Beings. So the science of unitary human beings is Rogers' contribution to nursing theory. A person and their environment are vital to each other in regards to health and treatment. Clients are viewed as unitary human beings, and this just means that clients are viewed as a whole. Illness and health are on the same continuum. There are two dimensions, the science and the art of nursing. So the science of nursing is knowledge that comes from scientific research, and the art of nursing is using the science of nursing in a creative way to improve the quality of life of a client. And the nurse's role is to serve people. Her model suggests non-invasive interventions such as therapeutic touch, music, meditation, humor, and imagery. And the aim of nursing interventions is to correspond with human and environmental fields and guide patients in the process of change to improve their health. And the focus is on pain management and supportive psychotherapy. So the nursing process according to the science of unitary human beings. So assessment or pattern appraisal. This is a comprehensive assessment of human and environmental energy fields. The nurse should validate appraisal with the client. So pattern appraisal includes nutrition, work and leisure activities, sleep-wake cycles, relationships, pain, fears, and hopes. And mutual patterning, it involves interaction between the nurse and the client. It can include sharing knowledge, giving choices, empowering the client, identifying dissonance and harmony, and self-reflection. So dissonance just means like conflict, and mutual patterning depends on the client's needs and their condition. And lastly, evaluation. Nurses should repeat the pattern appraisal after mutual patterning to evaluate the degree of dissonance and harmony.
So the science of unitary human beings is composed of 7 main components. These are the energy fields, openness, pattern, pan-dimensional, integrality, resonancy, and heliocy. There are several assumptions associated with this theory, and these assumptions include that human beings are considered whole and cannot be viewed as subparts. Every human being's life process goes from birth to death. Health and illness are continuous expressions of the life process. Energy flows freely between the individual and the environment. Human beings possess the ability to think, imagine, sense, feel, and can use language for expression, and human beings adapt according to changes in the environment. The main concepts of this theory are that humans are an important part of the universe, and human beings and the environment have energy fields, and nursing action should be directed towards patterning and maintaining these energy fields. So the first concept is energy fields, and humans and the environment both have energy fields, which are open, meaning that energy can flow freely between the two. Next is openness. Nothing can stop the flow of energy between human beings and the environment, meaning it's a continuous movement of energy. Pattern just refers to the distinguishing character of the energy field. Pan-dimensional is an unchanging field that is not created by space or time, and it's infinite domain without boundary. Homeodynamics is the balance between the life process and the environment. It aids in viewing the human as a unitary human being, and there are 3 principles of this, and they are integrality, resonancy, and heliocy. Integrality states that energy fields are dynamic and are constantly interacting with humans and the environment, which has an effect on both. And this explains why meditation and humor create a positive environment. Resonancy is the ordered arrangement of rhythm which characterizes energy fields. There's a constant change in the pattern of the energy field from a lower to higher frequency, and this change of energy can be from human touch, drawing, storytelling, and other uses of the imagination. And finally, there's heliocy, which is a minor change in the environment that can create a larger change in energy fields. This change is constant, unpredictable, and caused by other factors mutually interacting. Martha Rogers is known for other grand theories, and these include the theory of rhythmicities, the theory of accelerating evolution, and the theory of paranormal phenomena. The theory of rhythmicity deals with any rhythmic changes in humans. These changes can include sleep-wake patterns, motion of energy fields, perception of time passing, and any other rhythmic developments. The theory of accelerating evolution. As evolutionary change speeds up, the range of diversity in the life process is growing. Higher wave frequencies are associated with accelerating human development. And the theory of paranormal phenomena explains deja vu, clairvoyance, telepathy, and therapeutic touch. Clairvoyance is rational in a four-dimensional human field that is in continuous interaction with a four-dimensional world, so there's no linear time or any separation of the human and environmental fields. There are several theories that were derived from the science of unitary human beings. These include the perspective rhythm model, the theory of health as explaining consciousness, the theory of creativity, actualization, and empathy, the theory of self-transcendence and power as knowing and participation with change. The Slinky model helps to explain Martha Rogers' theory. So if you imagine the life process moving along the Slinky spirals, the human field occupies a space along these spirals and it extends out in all directions from any given point. Each turn of the spiral signifies the rhythmic nature of life, and distortions signify a change and deviation from nature's regularities. And the variations in speed or change through time are represented by narrowing or widening the distance of these spirals. The major concepts of her theory center around energy fields, and they are that energy fields are the fundamental unit of the living and non-living. It's a unifying concept. Energy signifies the dynamic nature of the field, which is infinite and in continuous motion. It identifies conceptual boundaries of man, and the fields are continuously changing.
Now we're going to go through the 4 nursing meta-paradigms as Martha Rogers would see them. So person is described as an irreducible, indivisible, multi-dimensional energy field that is identified by pattern and manifesting characteristics that are specific to the whole and which cannot be predicted from the knowledge of the parts. So the sum is greater than the parts. And environment is described as an irreducible, pan-dimensional energy field identified by pattern and manifesting characteristics different from those of the parts. Each environment field is specific to its given human field, but both change continuously and creatively. Basically, the environment is in constant interaction with the person, so environment is everything that is not the human field pattern manifestation. And Martha believes that environment is not exactly what the parts that make it would suggest when examined individually. Environmental changes as well as people do. Usually it is a change in the environment that would change the human, but Martha believes that it is the other way around. Martha describes health as unitary human health signifies an irreducible human field manifestation. It cannot be measured by the parameters of biology or physics or of the social sciences. She believes that the labels of problems and illness are tentative and based on societal definitions. She describes nursing as a science and designates the term nursing as a noun and signifies that nursing is an organized body of abstract knowledge. Traditionally, the term has been used as a verb, and nursing, the science noun, indicates that there is a body of knowledge specific to nursing. Therefore, it is both a science and an art, and nursing is a field that incorporates more than just physical work and knowledge. It is about understanding in a literal and figurative sense. And nursing is understanding a patient's physical, mental, and emotional needs, even though some of these cannot be measured. We came up with a case study now. So a 35-year-old woman is admitted into the hospital because of self-harm behavior related to depression. She was diagnosed with depression a year ago, and 6 months prior to her diagnosis, she attempted suicide. So we're going to go through it how Martha would have. So to assess, the client shows dissonance, which is depression with suicidal ideation, fear, and pain. Then we go through mutual patterning. So this is the relationship with the client and the nurse, and it's performed so that the client's all emerging patterns as a unitary pattern. The student nurse planned therapeutic conversations about the client's depression, use therapeutic touch, and client advocating. And then to evaluate, you're supposed to appraise the mutual patterning to determine if dissonance is still happening or if harmony has been achieved. At the end of it, the client was still showing signs of dissonance, so the mutual patterning had to be re-examined.
The critical thinking exercise we chose to do was a Jeopardy game. The categories we chose to include are meta-paradigm, sub-concepts, science of unitary human beings, and other.
Throughout our presentation, we discussed many important aspects regarding her theory. The Jeopardy game was meant as a means for the class to reflect back on the information we presented and apply it in a manner that was fun and conducive to learning. Because Martha Rogers' theories are so complex, we wanted to simplify the important parts and find a creative way for the class to learn about Martha Rogers. We thought that a Jeopardy game would be a fun and interactive way for the students to digest her complex theory.
So how we would have presented it to the class, so we would have divided the class into 2 teams and flipped a coin to see which team will go first. The team will pick up the category and then the level of question, so each of the categories, and then 100, 200, or 300, and that would depend on the points that they wanted to get. If the team did not answer the question correctly, then the opposing team would have the chance to steal, with exception of true and false answers. The team with the most points at the end will win, and they will receive a prize of a slinky to reflect the slinky aspect of Martha Rogers' theory.
So we'll run through one question from each category to demonstrate the types of question we would have been asking had we presented this to the class.
Alright, so under the meta-paradigm category of 100, the question is true or false. Martha Rogers viewed the health aspect of the meta-paradigm as unmeasurable by biology, physics, or social science, and the answer is true.
Under sub-concepts for 100, so true or false, human beings are considered a subpart and cannot be viewed as a whole. And this would be false because you can't be viewed as a whole.
So now under the science of unitary human being, 200, what is not a concept used to develop this theory? A, time is unidirectional. B, living systems have pattern and organization. C, patients are not viewed as a whole. Or D, man is sentient. C, patients are not viewed as a whole, because they are.
And then under other for 100, so fill in the blank, sum is greater than the blank, and the answer would be parts.